Hello knitters, Phelan from Strand Knitting Studio in San Clemente, California. And today I have classes, our new beloved yarns back in, and a tutorial, so stay tuned. The class is coming up is the best class, which is the 28th from 12 to 2. So Saturday, February 28th from 12 to 2. And so this is the first of our sweater classes. There's going to be like 3 or 4 of them for the year. Learning basic, just real basic sweater construction, nothing real fancy, but getting really good at the basic constructions and learning how to fit yourself. So this is still on my needles. So this is the vest I'm doing. So I felt like I was running out of yarn with my 3 skeins. So I undid the top. This was like folded over and more rows. So I undid that. Yeah, I know. I undid that, and so I'll have enough to do my armholes, which I've now picked this one up. And we'll be doing that one, and I'm going to do the other one, and then it'll be finished. And then I'll just probably bind that off, and it'll be finished. So this is almost done. I got yarn all over the place. Hopefully it's done this weekend. I've had fixing and putting together stuff that's taking all my time right now. So I did not get to my vest very much this week. So hopefully I can get to it tomorrow and just get it done. Okay, so that's the vest class, which is Saturday, February 28th from 12 to 2. Look behind me. What do you see behind me? Dream and Color's in. We've not had Dream and Color in for a good year. And so Dream and Color is back in, our beloved yarn. This is a DK weight yarn. It's a merino cashmere blend. We love our cashmere in here. It's a merino cashmere, but this yarn, when we first started getting it, I probably knit 80% of everything I knitted ended up in Dream. I tried to find something else. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go back to Dream. This is such a wonderful, soft, beautiful color. This is a hand-dyed yarn, and the colors are amazing. And the finished projects are amazing. As I said, we have a lot of Dream samples in here, so you can touch and feel and see how it knits up, because it's a beautiful, beautiful yarn. And here's the cool thing. This is perfect for your vest. So if you haven't gotten yarn yet for your vest, this is a great, great yarn for your vest. As long, and also the Rambouillet that which is what I'm knitting mine out of. That one is also a really good choice for the vest. So now you have 2 that are really super nice. And of course we have other things too, but these 2, yes. Now I'm gonna send you, I think it's that way, I'm gonna send you over to the tutorial. So I'm gonna talk about interchangeable needles and why you would want them, and some of the things that they can do that you, even if you have them, you may not realize that's what you can do with them. So if you already have them, you may pick up a trick or 2 that you didn't know could happen. And if you've been on the fence or didn't even know they exist, this will talk about it and give you ideas and reasons why this is a really good idea instead of just buying single needles all the time. So stay tuned. Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually putting the needle on the cable and making sure you tighten it down, because this is the part everybody doesn't realize if they didn't have somebody actually tell them what to do. So when you're putting them on, so you screw them on, and if you do not do this next step, these are going to start unscrewing, and you will get a gap. Now, the good part about this is if they do unscrew, which they can, even if you tighten them down, they can unscrew, your yarn's going to get caught in this little space between the 2 metal parts. Your yarn's going to get caught right there pretty quickly. And if that's happening, then you know for sure that you need to, get the needle and tighten it down again. All right, it can, but it doesn't just come off. Like, it just starts a little bit and you just have to screw it back in. So it's not that big a deal, and you actually get the warning that it's doing that before the needle is even close to just coming off. But to help it, and most of the time this will do the work, you get this little weird pin thing, right? And there is this hole right here in here. And so you're going to stick the pin through the hole. This is just for leverage. You're not you don't twist this around, it does nothing. It's just a pin going through a hole. It's strictly for leverage, so that you can tighten it down like this. So you're pushing, it gives you something to push one way while you go the other way. So this is strictly leverage. Now, with the wooden ones, sometimes you're going to feel that it tightens down, and a lot of times you're not going to feel a difference. But it does make a difference. So don't think just because you didn't feel anything happen that it doesn't make a difference. It absolutely makes a difference, and you absolutely need to be doing this. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this thing is never where I need it. It was like they get lost really easy. There's no way to hook it onto anything, really, because it just doesn't. So what I've done for years now is I keep a safety pin I keep it in my regular bag, but I also keep it in my sets. So I keep it in my sets. I have a lot of sets. So each of my sets has a safety pin in it so that I can use it to tighten it down. And I've got them on my knitting case that has all my, accoutrements in, and I keep one there so that I always have a safety pin to grab so that I can do the tightening down. All right. Okay. So I was going to also tell you that this is a Likey set, which is a German set, and this is the set itself that it comes with different formation. Like this is a half set compared to a full set, and these are laminated wood. That's what it looks like inside. Isn't it beautiful? It's just beautiful. These are laminated wood, and so they're not like bamboo that has a drag. There's no drag on these needles. There's a drag compared to metal needles, but it's very smooth. There's no drag. I use these laminated needles for years and years and years. These were my go-to. If it was Likey or Knit Pro, it doesn't matter. Part of me thinks they're mostly all made in the same place because they're very similar. And so the wood sets, and especially for beginners, they're nice. Also, if you just wanted to use wood, you don't like the metal, it's nice. Now, what's the difference? The big difference between these and the metal is the points. So these points are a little on the less pointy side, which really is good for almost everything until you start doing lace work and like make one left, make one right, things where you're having to get into stitches that are sort of twisted and hard to get into. Then the ones with better points work, okay? So just keep that in mind whether you buy a wood set or the metal set. That's sort of the difference between the two, sort of like. But these laminated these laminated wood needles are wonderful. They're warm. They're wonderful. So why do you buy an interchangeable set? Well, here's why you buy an interchangeable set. So you have, let's just work with a size 8 needle. You would need a 16-inch 8 to be able to do things like hats and stuff in the round. Most of the time, you're going to use your 24-inch 8, and 24, all the measurements are from the tip of the needle to the tip of the needle. It's not the measurement of the cable. It's the measurement from tip to tip, okay? So if you come and get these and you're looking for a 24-inch cable, you're not going to find it because it's tip to tip, okay? And so you can change the cable size of your needle. You don't have to buy a 16 and an 8 and maybe a 32. You have one set and you can change the cable. Well, not from a 16, but from a 24 to a 32, you just change the cable out, okay? And you've got your same set. Now, they have small, what we call short sets for the smaller cables, because this is a 5-inch. I can't put 5-inch needle. If I put a 16, I won't be able to use this. These are too long. You can't get it down to a 16 where you can actually, it won't use. So you have to have a smaller needle. If you have more than one project on the needle, you may need 2 8s at the same time. So then you can just buy a set of tips that are 8s to add to your interchangeables. You don't have to buy a full fix. And then, of course, you can also add any cables that you might need because you may need some more 24-inch cables or something like that. So you can buy them separately. You do not, and so it all goes into your kit, and you don't have to buy what we call the fixed ones, where the cable's connected and you can't change it. So those are the good things on why in the world would you do interchangeable needles. Okay, so for some tricks, okay? So right now I'm on a 24-inch cable. So let's say I'm doing a shawl. So a shawl, I'm going to start with the smaller cable because I'm only going to start with a few stitches. But as the shawl gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, this cable is going to start being too small. It's going to be too crowded, and like I'm pushing stitches around. So I want to change it to the next biggest cable. And how do you do that? So there's 2 ways to do it, okay? So I'm going to take this one off. And I'm going to put on, take this one off. So I'm putting my thing in there just so I can get it off. And I'm going to get my next bigger cable that I'm going to use, and I'm going to put this onto the bigger cable. And then you may need to cap, and you probably will need to cap this one, because if it's that crowded, you need to cap this so none of the stitches come off that way. And all the sets have little caps. This one looks very different from all the other caps I've seen. But anyways, they have a little cap that you can just screw on here so your knitting can't fall off. Okay, so you do that. And if you have a lot, you may want to put the same thing on this one too. And now you can just start knitting. And when you get done with it, with that row, your needles will be, your knitting will be onto the longer cable. Okay, so now I'm on the longer cable, and now I would take off this needle and put it on there, and I can go. Okay, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is you're going to connect the two cables together. Okay, and all the sets come with this connector. So this little metal piece right here, this little metal piece is a connector. It's got screw in on both ends. So you screw it in on here. This is also how you could get a longer cable if you don't have a long enough cable. You can put several cables together, and that would give you a longer cable. And then I'm going to put this one on here. And again, if you're going to be keeping the connector on, which you absolutely can do, that's part of what it's for, I make sure you do the twisty thing, you know, leverage it out, and you'll need to do it on both sides and twist it. It doesn't twist as good. And then, so let's say you're just trying to get it onto the other cable, and I'm all wrapped around my tripod here. So you can just, instead of knitting it, you can just slide it all the way over. Now I'm past there, down on my other cable, and now I can take this off. And I can put my other needle on. And then I can put this on. This is probably the least fiddliest, even though it's still a little bit fiddly. And then you have it now on the other cable. So this is the way you can either switch to a longer or shorter cable, or you can lengthen the cables so that you get like, you know, if you don't have a long enough cable with you, you can connect cables together to make longer cables. The other unique thing you can do with interchangeable cables is tweak your gauge. So the facts about knitting stitches and purl stitches. Purl stitches take up more yarn than knitting stitches. So purl stitches are usually a bit looser than your knitting stitches are. All right. So now if you're doing a gauge and like you're supposed to get 16 stitches equals 4 inches, which would be 4 stitches to the inch, and you're getting like 4.5 or 5 stitches to the inch. But if you go up a whole, like you go these up, then you're getting too much. So it's either you're too little or you're too much. Then what you can do is on the purl needle. So right now I'm about to, what am I about to do? I think I'm about to knit. Yeah, I'm about to knit. So that means this is going to end up being my purl needle. So this will be my purl needle. So the right hand needle is your gauge needle. So I would be purling, if my yarn was over here, I'd be purling like this. So I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to put down a size smaller for my purl side. So this is an 8. So I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to get my 7. And then I'm going to put that on the end here. And now when I'm purling with one needle size smaller. So that means it's going to tighten up that looser purl. And it's an easy way to do it. This only works back and forth. Obviously, if you're going in the round, it only works because you're purling. But if you're going in the round and you're having to do purls, it's not going to work because you don't ever switch your hands and needles. It's always the same. Needle is doing the same thing. All right. So, but back and forth, if you row out, which means you get these weird spaces on your purl side, like there's space between the rows sometimes, it's because your purl is looser than normal. So this is a way to tighten it up super easy, and can often make the difference between that rowing out thing and those bigger purl stitches. All right, so that's another way you can use these. So I hope that was helpful for you, and that interchangeables are just a good idea, especially if you decide that I'm going to be a knitter, because it's a really good tool to have in your tool basket. So that's it for today, and I hope to see you in the studio real soon. Bye.